Some terms or name of places in the Bible are named in English or Greek, and then they say in the same text, also known in Hebrew tongue as, also known in the Hebrew language as. So today we're going to be looking at those terms or names of places that are given in English or Greek in the Bible. We're going to look at the Hebrew equivalent of those, what the Hebrew tongue exactly is supposed to be saying. All right, starting with the Pilat one, where Pilat was judging Cindy. I don't use the Greek name, right? Was judging Cindy in Gabata. They say they paid the place called pavement, right? He was sitting on the throne there judging Cindy. And then it says it's called pavement, but in Hebrew it's called gabata. Now, what is gabata? Because we know the Hebrew tongue, right? So let's unpack what that gabata means. Now, here's a visual representation of how gabata looked, right? Gabata. Now, it's like a sun. You know, when you're basking in the sun, gabata, you know where I'm going with it, right? If you know the Hebrew language. Actually, it's Bantu language, right? If you know the Bantu language, you know where I'm going with it, right? It is actually to gabata. Gabata. You know, when you're basking in the sun in Bantu, it's called, you are in gabata. You are in a gabata, right? Gabata. That's what to basking in the sun. So that visual representation was trying to say, it's called pavement, right? In English, but then it's called gabata. Gabata, as you can see, it's a visual representation of some place that you're basking the sun in, right? It's like a gabata. Now, in Google Translate, they have it as the surface. It's not really, they're trying to be close enough, but it's actually a place where you're basking the sun. Gabata. English call it gabata. Now, let's talk about the upper room. Now, the upper room is so misunderstood. Now, let me explain one thing. This is a village setting, right? The whole scripture is in a village setting. So that's our point of departure right there, right? So now this upper room where the Last Supper was held, let's unpack it in a Bantu way or Hebrew way, right? So the Last Supper where Cindy was sitting with his 12, right? You all remember this story, right? Now, I will tell you two big things about it, because now, get it straight, first of all, is in the village setting. So in the village setting, we have different rooms, right? So each and every one of the rooms have a different purpose. So now the one is Ngungulu. One of them is called Ngungulu, right? Which means it's translated in English. You can translate it as upper room or bigger room. Ngungulu. That's where they had the Last Supper. It's not an upper room like an upstairs. You go up the stairs. No. It's called Ngungul, but they just didn't know what to call it. It's called it. Now, here in Google Translate, they call it headquarters. But it's not really headquarters. It's just one of the rooms in a village compound that they have meetings and important things in. It's called Ngungulu, right? So the Last Supper was held in that Ngungulu. Y'all know what Ngungulu is, right? Y'all forgot about them village settings. But that's what it is. That's where they were. And they were sitting on the floor. That's another thing. They were sitting on those bamboo carpet. They called kuko, right? They were sitting on the floor. There was no table and two little things. They were sitting right there on ukuko, just like these ladies are sitting right there. I just try to find a good picture that represents how they were sitting. So imagine they were sitting in Ngungulu on kuko. Those are carpets. Those are called kuko, right? They were sitting right in a circle, right there. Not on those tables as you can see over there. They were not sitting just like that. They were sitting on kuko. It's made of grass or bamboo or straw. Here's another something that's trying to represent that, how they're sitting, but they're not really close enough. They were trying to represent it, right? But they didn't get it quite because there's still that little table over there. There was no table. It was kuko. And then the food was put in the center, and they were all sitting. Each and every one of them had their kuko sitting on it. Okay, just understand the scripture in a village setting or Bantu traditional way, right? Then it makes sense.